Hello students, with respect to today's lecture, there are two types of students. One type who should avoid this lecture at any cost. They should not watch this lecture. And another type who should not leave this lecture. First, let me tell you who should avoid this lecture. If you are one of those students who want to scrape through the overall cutoffs, you want to have that feeling always ki there is a 50-50 chance that I would get in or I would be out. If that is the mental makeup you are in, this lecture, my dear friends, is not for you. Leave this lecture right away. But if you are one of those who want to clear the overall cutoffs comfortably, who wants to get a score in their pre and mains which is much more than the cutoff, this lecture is for you. You should not leave this lecture. Why? Because then you would need the help of all subjects, and obviously in that, one of the most scoring subjects, English, can never take a backseat, right? Okay, so with that, let's start. Welcome to the complete strategy of English and descriptive. Yes, my dear friends, we are going to talk about English as well as descriptive. Now, today we are going to take the help of Tortoise. Yes, you might ask that Tortoise, how is Tortoise related? You remember that story of tortoise and rabbit that we had learnt in our childhood? What was the message of the story? Slow and steady wins the race. Yes. So today we are going to see the 5+1 tortoise steps, which are slow but steady and which would ensure that we win this game of competition. Right? Okay. So let's look at which are these 5+1 tortoise steps. First, know your exam. Step number 1, you should know what you are facing, right? I tell you now that whenever you go to fight, you should always know about the battleground. So that is your exam. Understand what skills are tested. Now you are at that juncture where you have time to leave no stone unturned, right? So you have time in your hands for the 2022 bank exams, whether it is SBI PO or be it IBPS PO. So if you have the opportunity to understand what exactly the skills are required and develop them so that you have a competitive edge over others. Okay? Next, discuss the right ways to develop those skills. How do we develop those skills? That we would discuss. Also, we will also discuss the sources from where we can develop those skills and the timelines. How much time you should give to concept building, how much time you should give to learning, all of that stuff we will discuss. That is also in our today's agenda. So together 3 and 4 is nothing but how to build our concepts, what to practice in concepts, where to practice from, so all of these things. Now, what about mocks? This is one question that comes to our mind from the day one. What about mocks? So we will address that. And what is life without a little bonus? So at the end, the 5+1, that one step is the bonus advice step. Okay? Okay? Chalo, let's start with the first step. But before that, one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite movies, Kung Fu Panda. This is Master Shifu. Now, Master Shifu said that if you only do what you can do, you will never be better than what you are. So true. Now, why have I shown this to you now? Because we are going to discuss these 6 steps, the 5+1 tortoise steps, but there are a lot of things we would do which might seem to be some things which are different than what you are doing now. But my dear friend, that difference is what would create a difference in the long run, right? So that those words of Master Shifu is so relevant. So if I go on doing what I had been doing for the past years, how would I have different result? We would not have, na? Right? Okay? Chalo. So let's start with the step number 1, know your exam. Now, I have made a graph for you for topic wise distribution of English language. Prelims and mains. I'll come to descriptive and interview later on. Let's start with the prelims and mains. So in prelims you have 30 marks, right? And in mains you have 47 to 50 marks including CR. Now I have included critical reasoning as a part of this analysis of ours, because very simple, because reading comprehension, critical reasoning and the whole of English is so integrally related, you cannot take one without the other. That is the reason why I teach critical reasoning as a part of our RC lectures also. That is one of the reasons too. But so critical reasoning is an integral part of verbal reasoning, and English is obviously an extension of verbal reasoning, right? Words based reasoning. So together, critical reasoning and reading comprehension, 47 to 50 marks, 40 marks in the English section and 7 to 10 marks varies from year to year in the reasoning section in critical reasoning. Okay. So how does the exam look like? What is the division? What is the classification of the different areas? So what are the different areas? If you look at the legends there, the blue one is RCRPG. So reading comprehension, critical reasoning and parajumbles. Okay. Then the red one is FIB plus vocabulary. So fill in the blanks, close test, para completion, vocab application, direct vocabulary questions, those would come in the red segment. And the green segment is grammar application question. So English usage questions, error correction, error spotting, all of these kind of questions, match the following, all of these kind of questions would come in grammar application question. Okay. Now, what has been their distribution? Let's look at it. In mains, if you see, for the past, this is the cumulative effect of past 2-3 years. So in the past 2-3 years, we are seeing more than 60% from RC, CR and PJ, from the blue area, right? And in prelims, it is 40%. 40% of the of those 30 marks. Okay, the 40% of those 30 marks is from this. So that 40 can be 45 some year, or as high as 50 some year, or as low as 35% some year, but more or less it is this. Then next is the FIB plus vocab. If you see in mains, FIB vocab consists of hardly 15 to 20%, right? Okay. Whereas in prelims, it is huge. More than 30% is FIB and vocabulary. Right. So FIB and vocabulary includes, FIB is fill in the blanks. So fill in the blanks and vocabulary includes fill in the blanks question, closed test questions, para completion questions and vocabulary application questions. Okay. The last one, grammar application. So grammar application, if you look at it, in mains, the rest is grammar application question. Whereas in prelim is also the rest is grammar application question, but if you look at the the division of marks of grammar application and FIB vocab, so you'd see that around 35 to 40% is RCCR and PJ, whereas the rest is more or less equally divided between FIB vocab and grammar application. Normally FIB vocab is a little more than grammar application, whereas the tables are turned in the mains. RCCRPG is clearly the substantial chunk of the marks, and followed by grammar application and then FIB vocab. That obviously does not mean that something is more important and something is less important, because for us every marks count, right? But this is the idea of how the division of distribution of the marks happens in prelims and mains, or had been happening in prelims and mains for the past 2-3 years. Okay. Now descriptive, descriptive in SBI you have a 50 marks descriptive, and in IBPS you have 25 marks descriptive. It's a different section, it's a separate section which happens after the objective paper is over in the mains, right? Interviews. SBI has 50 marks interviews, whereas in IBPS they have 100 marks interviews. This is the different distribution. Okay. Now you remember in the step 2, what we have to do, we'll have to understand what are the skills that are being tested in different segments of the test. So in prelim and mains, in the objective paper, what is tested? Your reading and usage ability, your ability to read and understand, to use in whether it's in grammar or whether it's vocabulary usage, whether it is understanding what would fit in the blank of a particular sentence. All of these are tested in your prelims and mains, right? Okay. The nature of the questions might differ a little bit. The difficulty of questions might differ a little bit, but essentially the ability that is being tested is the same, reading and usage ability. Now, descriptive, what does it test? Writing ability, isn't it? Descriptive is what? Writing ability. And interviews, what does it test? Yes, in interviews there are other things that are also tested, like for example your knowledge, your ability to talk about what choices you have taken in your life. But there is one significant segment of interviews which is about your speaking ability too, right? Okay, so reading and usage ability, writing ability, speaking ability, these are the three abilities that are what are required from a student so that he can perform the best in the exam. These three abilities. So ideally where you should be, reading and usage ability, speaking ability and writing ability, the intersection point, this yellow triangle point, right? This is where you should be ideally, right? Now, but then we understand that there is a limit to which everything is important. We understand that reading and usage ability is primarily important. Without that too, we are not going to go into the next round only. So everything gets a full stop if I do not have reading and usage ability. And for that, our lion's share of the discussion would be based on this. That is but natural, right? But speaking ability and writing ability is also important. Writing ability more so because it is a part of the mains exam, and therefore you will have to also clear that writing ability part, the descriptive section, to go on to the next round. In speaking ability, when I talk about speaking ability, it's not necessary that only speaking in English, because there had been interviews where interviews have taken in the language of your choice. Okay, but if you are comfortable speaking in your mother tongue as well as in English, that's an added advantage, isn't it? Right. But as I told you, the most important part of our discussion is reading and usage ability, right? And we will start with that. How, from where, how much to do, these we will do. But these we will do on what parameters? One is learning concepts. How do we learn the concepts? From where do we learn the concepts? How much of concept is enough? Then concept builder practice. Now there are two kinds of practice. One is concept builder practice and another is extensive practice. Now concept builder practice is when you learn a concept, there is a time period which we will have to give to that particular concept, practicing questions on those particular concepts so that you can imbibe that concept, so that you can apply the concept by yourself, right? Okay, obviously your accuracy, your speed, all of these would increase with extensive practice. That comes later on, but concept builder practice is the first thing that comes after you learn the concepts, and then you follow it up with extensive practice over a longer period of time. So how much time would be needed for each one of these activities, from where you should do it, how you should do it, is what we are going to discuss in our step 3 and step 4. Okay, so step 3 and 4 for RCRPG. So we will take one by one. We will take RCRPG, we will take fill in the blanks and vocabulary, we will take grammar, and we'll take descriptive, and then we'll take speaking skills. Take in this order. Next, the first one, RCRPG. First, learn reading skills. What is the first task that you should do is learn reading skills. Now in the reading skills, what are the things that are important? Increasing your reading speed and making yourself a good reader by improving your comprehension. These are the two most important things that you need to learn when it comes to reading. Not reading comprehension, but in general reading. Now, those who are studying with me, they know I focus on this, and I give activities on this. Why? So that you imbibe these skills, and they are very important, my dear students. Take it. Even if you are preparing by yourself, there are lectures on this channel which would help you to improve your reading skills, right? Go through them and work on that. It would it should take you 1 to 2 weeks to get you started. Obviously, it's a long-term process where your extensive reading practice would definitely help, but 1 to 2 weeks is enough to get you started in the right direction. Then, added to it, I told you that there would be extensive practice that is necessary to make you this a part of your character. So that would happen in the next step, which is 60 to 90 minutes of daily reading from editorials, from magazines, books, and continue it till exams. Okay, right? I mean, even if you continue it beyond exam, that would be good for you only, because these are part of your life skills that you should have. What is happening around the world, how you should analyze important events, that comes from reading only, na? Right? So 60 to 90 minutes daily reading. Now, simultaneously do the critical reasoning concepts. There are a lot of students and even teachers who don't understand. They say that critical reasoning comes in mains, do it in mains. But the problem is that critical reasoning is something which is basic to understanding the language. So if we are not having any idea about the critical reasoning concepts, our reading comprehension would not improve, right? Okay, so the conceptual part of critical reasoning needs to be done simultaneously with your reading skills development. On each concept, whether it is assumption, conclusion, or strengthening, weakening of arguments, or it is strong and weak arguments, all of these concepts, different concepts, practice 20 to 25 questions on each of these concepts for concept building. This is concept building practice. This would take 2 to 3 weeks of yours, doing the concepts and practicing concept builders. This should go hand in hand, 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. And after that, what should you do? Once you have started on the reading skills part and you have done your critical reasoning concepts, what should you do? Understand the steps of RC solving and apply them while doing questions, right? This is the next logical step you should take, and this would be 3 to 4 weeks. The time that you take to do that would be 3 to 4 weeks. This would, the first 4 sub-steps would ensure that you have built up your concepts, you have built up your skills to an extent where beyond that you would only need extensive practice, both for RC and critical reasoning, nothing else. Okay. So practice 150 plus RCs. After that, after you have understood the steps of RC solving and applied them while doing questions, practice 150 plus RCs. Pick easy and medium level passages first and then graduate towards difficult level passages. Okay. Mix them up while practicing after some time and continue it till exams regularly, right? If not every day, alternate day, or at least twice a week. And divide these 150 plus RC practice into 2 parts, before pre, after pre. So there has to be a practice that happens before pre, there has to be a practice that would happen after pre. Okay, right? Now, do concepts of parajumble and odd one out. Practice 30 to 40 questions to imbibe the concept builder, right? This would take 1 week of yours, not more. And after that, post that, practice 200 plus parajumble and odd one out questions over the period of time till exams. And again, divide the practice between 2 parts, before pre, after pre. Normally, in RC, the division would be like 60-40 or 2:1. Okay. In parajumble odd one out, the division can be 50-50. Okay. And in critical reasoning, because critical reasoning we are done with the concepts, but the extensive practice, the concept builder is done, concepts is done, but extensive practice remains. Na? So that also needs to be done till exam. So you divide that also before pre, after pre. Here it would be just the other way around, 1:2. So 1 before pre, 2 after pre. Okay. So that is the order in which you should be doing things for RC, CR and PJ. Now, step number 3 and 4 for FIB and vocab. First, learn FIB and cloze test concept first. Fill in the blanks and cloze test concept, they are related, learn them first and then build concepts with 80 to 100 questions. This should take you not more than 1 week, at the max 2 weeks, not more than that, with other things obviously. Practice 400 plus questions of FIV and closed tests till exams. Continue till exams. Do the special types also in this period. Right. Once the concepts are done, you do not need separate concepts for the special types. They can be done with the same concepts. I have shown that to you on the channel many a times. Go visit those lectures, you would find that. Divide this practice also into before pre and after pre. Okay, right. You can do it 50-50, you can do it 60-40. The range would more or less be the same. Then, you are reading, you are doing extensive reading, you are practicing FIB questions, you are doing reading comprehensions. So it is bound to happen that you would come across words that you do not know meaning of, right? And that is from where you should list the unknown words that you get in your daily reading and question practice. That is what is going to build your vocabulary. For vocabulary, you do not need to pick up a dictionary or a word list. A word list book and go through it. No, you do not need to do that, right? You just need to list down the words that are unknown to you. Start with the vocab playlist of ours. You would understand the process and you have to just follow that process. Okay, right? Okay, so that is how vocabulary would get developed. For the first 1 or 2 months, you would find a lot of new words. But after that, you would see that, oh, I know this. I have an idea about this word. I have read it somewhere. So it's only the first 1 or 2 months you would get a lot of words. And after that, your word repository would be so huge that you will feel proud of yourself, right? And every one of us knows that if you have good vocabulary, if you have rich vocabulary, that increases your confidence in the language, in any language, whether it's English or any other language. Okay, that would happen with you. Now, the next is para-completion. Now, para-completion, first you will have to do the concepts of para-completion and how to identify which set of phrases would replace the missing line. That is what we will have to do in para-completion, and then we will have to do practice 30-40 concept builder questions. Now, this would take 2 weeks of yours, not more, because many things would be going on at that point of time. Your quant would be going on, your logical reasoning would be going on, your English, other topics would be going on. Okay, so 2 weeks is enough time to understand the concepts and do the practice. Then practice 200 plus questions of PJ and not odd one out. Odd one out is with parajumbles. Though there are parajumble, para-completion, mixed questions also are there, right? Those would come in the special types questions. So this would be PC, para-completion, PC, practice 200 questions of para-completion till exam. Divide them again into before and pre and after pre. Okay, even 100 plus would be, 200 is too much. For para-completion, there are less questions. So even 100 plus questions, extensive practice would be enough. Okay, chalo. Next, step 3 and 4 for grammar. Right. So first, doing grammar concepts, that is primarily important to know what are the things that can go wrong in grammar. You don't need to mug up all the rules of grammar. You do not need to mug up the grammar book. No, you just need to know what can go wrong in grammar, because that's from where the questions come. Practice 150 to 200 concept builder questions. This would take 3 weeks of yours. Then practice 300 plus grammar application questions till exams. Till exams, if you practice 300 plus grammar application question, that would be enough. In that include the new types of questions, the ones that has come in mains in the recent years. And again, divide the practice timeline into before pre and after pre. Okay? Don't try to mug up the grammar rules and hope that you would get questions correct. No. Use your common sense. In my grammar lectures on the channel, I tell you again and again that English is more about common sense, your logic, rather than some fixed rules. The rules are also based out of logic and common sense. If we understand the crux of it, we make a good job of marking our answers correctly, right? That's what you need to do also. Take next. Step 3 and 4 for descriptive. So we are done with RCRPG, we are done with FIB plus vocabulary now and grammar. Now time for descriptive. First, learn the basics of writing, right? Those who are already learning with us, I would teach them the basics of writing so you would know how to write it. Even those who are preparing, says I have done some lectures on YouTube, you can understand the basics from there also. See, but what you need to do is that learning the basics is one thing and then applying it in your own writing is another thing. Learn how to apply them in the two main activities, essay and letter. These are the two main activities that has been coming for some years now, na? Practice in 5 to 6 activities for building comfort. So that concept building part and descriptive is 5 to 6 activities of each. So 2 to 3 weeks. Then learn how to apply basics of writing in other activities. Now, I always feel that we should always be prepared. For the last few years, it has been essay and letter, but who knows, in 1 year, they go ahead and change it. It can happen, na? Right? So if that happens, you should be prepared. So summary précis, report writing, email writing, all of this, you should have an idea about it, how to apply the basics of writing in these activities. Again, this would take 2 to 3 weeks. This would prepare you for surprises and other exams too. In other exams, there are other activities. Na? Only in bank PO exams, there are these two fixed activities. There are other exams where there are précis writing also, there are report writing also. So you would be prepared for that. Start writing summaries at least once a week. And continue this till exams. This would keep you engaged in the activity of writing. And while you write, use the words that you have learned new in that week. Okay? That would sort of repeat your words in your own writing. And finally, before your exams, mains exam, you should be done with 40 to 50 writing assignments. Divided before pre and after pre. Mostly after pre, less before pre. So if you are doing 50 writing assignments, see, those 5 to 6 activities are different. 5 to 6, 7 activities that you are done, you are done. Now out of these 40, you should divide it in the ratio of 1:3 or 1:4 kind of. But you should have some practice before pre and the majority practice after pre. Okay. So that was descriptive. Now the last one is speaking. Steps number 3 and 4 for speaking. You watch English news, that helps you to get a command. When you listen to something, you get a command over that language. So that helps you to get a command over that language. Read one article a day like a news reader. So normally you would read in a way where you are reading it fast to comprehend, to understand. But one article a day, keep it where you would read like a news reader. Make that situation like you are reading the news for that particular article. So what would happen in that? You would be practicing speaking English. So English words would not feel alien to you. So if one day you are asked to speak in English, you will not feel that I am speaking an alien language. So that would happen. Try and interact with a friend on any issue in English. That would also help. And obviously watch our lectures regularly. We interact in English. You would have the practice of listening to it also. You would learn what we are teaching, as well as you will be more comfortable with the language. Okay. So that was the steps 3 and 4 for all the areas, for all the 5 different areas that we had. Now, step number 4 for all topic. Some part of step number 4 I had saved for you guys, and that is what? Sources, right? So sources of learning concepts. If you are studying with us in our batch, you would get all the concepts in the batch. You do not need to worry. What you need to worry is to practice. What you need to worry is to learn those concepts, attend those lectures regularly. If you are preparing by yourself from our YouTube channel, there are a lot of lectures where we have talked about the basic concepts. So visit the playlist and pick up those lectures and go through them. Okay? That would be enough from the conceptual part of it. Then concept builder practice. Concept builder practice, those who are studying with us, they would get the concept builder practice from us only. Now, those who are preparing by themselves, they should try and do the concept builder practice from the topic test, sectional tests of the test series. I have already talked about how much concept builder practice you need to do. And then the extensive practice. Now, extensive practice needs to be done by everyone from test series. Get a test series or 2 test series and do the sectional test, do the topic test. These are the extensive practice. If you are not taking any particular exam, take mocks of those exam and separate them topic wise and do the questions from there. Okay, this is how you practice, do the extensive practice. There is so much available that you would get them very easily. Okay, you know the material part of it. Now, step 5, what about mocks? We have talked about that you need to take a mock or 2 and practice from that. So, what about mocks? When do we actually take the mock tests? Now, tell me one thing. From when should you start mocks? You tell me. Obviously, after at least 60-70% of the concept building part of the section is over, then only you should take mocks, isn't it? Right, that makes sense. And you guys are early starters. So you would be done with your every part of the concept within 2 to 3 months. So even if you start mocks after that, no issues, you will have time for that. But at least 60-70% of the concepts needs to be done before you move on to mocks. That makes perfect sense. Or else what would those mocks be of any use? No, they would not be of any use. And then when you start, do pre-mocks before pre and start with the mains mocks after pre. Yes, 1 or 2 mains mocks you can take just to have an idea, because you are starting early, you should have an idea about all the part of the test, so you can take them before pre also, but majorly pre-mocks before pre and mains mocks after pre. Okay, right? So that should be the plan with mocks. That makes sense. Tick. Now step 6, or the bonus 1 step, bonus and more bonus. Don't collect sources for concepts. Do it from 1 to 2 sources at the most. This is something that happens with a lot of people. You know, we have so much on YouTube today. Some part is useful, some part is not, right? So many channels, so many people. So we have this fear of missing out, FOMO, fear of missing out, that am I missing something? Am I missing this? Am I missing that? Koi special type to nahi kara dega. You see, if you are clear on the concepts, in this way, the way we are preparing, I have asked you to prepare, you'll be clear on the concepts. You'll be clear on the basis, foundation. Then any type, whatever comes, if it is a type based on logic, if it is a type based on language, you will be able to do it. You will be able to at least understand it and decide whether you should do it or not. Okay? So don't have that fear of missing out and waste your time going through lectures after lectures or videos after videos on YouTube, doing the same things again and again and wasting your precious time. Learn the concepts from 1 or 2 sources at the most and done. Don't collect PDFs. Again, the second thing, don't collect PDFs and practice exercises if you don't intend to do them in the next 5-7 days. You see, again another FOMO comes into play here. अरे ये बड़ा अच्छा PDF आया है, save करके रख देते हैं. It would be helpful for mains. And when mains come, you never pick up that PDF to do it because you have forgotten that you had saved something like that. It happens, na? Tell me, it happens. So why to do search for these, go through these if you don't intend to do them? You can have your own rule for that. My thumb rule is simple. If I am doing practice from external sources, I'll only collect those material which I intend to do in the next 5 to 7 days. I'm not going to make a library of material. Okay? Right? Next. And most importantly, enjoy your preparation, my dear friends. Don't be a robot. Enjoying the preparation is the key to success. And with that, I would end with one of my favorite movie characters, again from Kung Fu Panda, Master Oogway, another tortoise, right? He, in that movie, said, "You are the master of your destiny. No one and nothing can come in between you and your destiny, except you. Take destiny by the horns and have fun." This is what Master Oogway had said, and this is what my logging off message to you would be also. Enjoy these months of preparation and you would see success is just a byproduct. So with that, we will log off today. Thank you very much and all the best.